Hi,
Hi.
I made it.
You made it. You're the first and so far the only.
That's good. I told everyone it's been changed, so I could just have a one-on-one with you.
Oh, here comes someone.
Ah, just kidding. Greetings.
Hi, hi.
How was your colonoscopy?
Queen!
Yay!
Let me tell you, a 2 week, 2 night away without a teenager was not as fun as I thought it would be because we were doing stupid colonoscopies.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm good. I'm happy with a clean report. So
Good.
um, I am reporting from France, so it's late.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah, well, it's not a fun trip, but I did get to see friends. But I came to pick up my visa. So it was a very spontaneous trip because my visa got approved and my partner was like, the flights are really good tonight. I'm like, tonight? Like tonight? He's like, yeah. He's like, can you be ready in 2 hours? I'm like, okay, I'm going to France. So I'm a bit jet lagged, but I did take a nap and it's only for a couple days. So I leave tomorrow morning. But I was like, I am never going to make it to this at 9 o'clock unless I take a nap. Like there's no way. I was like 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh, so I'm here. So I took a nap for you guys.
Oh, awesome. So your visa is for when you guys return to Europe? Is that
So we have a visa that we've had for 8 years now that we renew every year in France.
okay?
And so it's just a yearly visa. But once you've had it for 5 years, which we've had it now, we can apply for something longer term. So
Okay.
now we can apply for a 10-year, but there's a language test. So that's the obstacle right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Hmm.
we actually, to advance that next level, we have to come and live here while we do it. So probably for a year, and we have to learn the language. And
Okay.
so Will already speaks Spanish, so it's going to be easier for him. It's going to be really difficult for me. So I need to dedicate time that I just don't. My dedication to time is allotted to other things right now. So probably once our son goes to university, we'll do it. But we're starting the process now. Because I'm like, I
What's
want to. I
the
want
end game? I want to know. What's the
to.
plan?
The end game is to have medical care as I age in a country that has better medical care, more affordable.
Okay. So
Yeah. So
where do you
that's
want to be living?
so we've been nomadic for over a decade.
Okay.
So there's no plans to really kind of settle down, but we're I'm 52, he's 53. I mean, we're not retirement age, we're not dying or anything like that, but we're planning for like that next chapter when we do decide or can't travel anymore of where we want to be long term. And it's not the US.
Mhm.
So and to be honest, it's never been the US. It's not specifically because of the current climate. Although that is definitely being back in the US now will be for a year back in the US. I've just realized it just doesn't align at all. And to be honest, financially, it's really not in the cards for us. Like the
Yeah.
way we've done our life and how much we have saved for retirement isn't really enough to live comfortably in the US. And then you factor in the medical aspect of it, and I'm like, ugh. But that was never the plan, to be honest. The plan was to be outside, and we love France. So it could end up being someplace else, but it'll likely be France. But I'm
Mhm.
hoping that's like 20 years from now.
So, and wait, with the language thing, so do you just have to be proficient in another like Spanish counts, French counts? What do you need to
I
do?
mean, some countries don't require it. Like Portugal doesn't require you to learn the language. France does, and it's a basic level. But even a basic level, if you don't speak another language, is hard. And if you're
Yeah.
not 20, if you're not 21, right? Like my
So
kids
like
are
10,
trilingual, but they got
10,
right,
like
and they got it when they were
yeah.
10 years old. So they're super fluent. They're like, "Oh, it's so easy." I'm like, you know, it's hard. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the game. I mean, we hadn't planned on looking for something more long term for a while, but I don't know. I'm getting a little wigged out by the medical situation. Like, we have medical insurance. It has like a huge $3,000 deductible, and then there's all these disclaimers, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like
Mhm.
I go to the doctors in Europe, it's $30. Like it's like, so
Mhm.
I'm kind of been spoiled now, and I
Mhm.
just want to make sure we're planning accordingly so we're not like a burden on our kids. So, you know.
Jana, is she speaking your language?
100%. Well,
We
Jared,
can create
okay,
our own community, you guys. Let's find a little town that's run
so
down.
Jared, my husband and I spent a week over New Year. Maybe you remember this. We were in Baja, California,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and he had this rash happening that started right before we left. And he was talking to his doctor because we drove. So he called his doctor and talked to his doctor while we were driving. And the doctor was like, "Yeah, you probably need to see, probably need to come in." And Jeremy's like, "Well, we're about, an hour from the Mexican border, so that's not going to happen." But so we went to the doctor in Mexico. It was $4.
Yeah.
But up.
And it was like, find a pharmacia, and the
Yeah.
pharmacia has a doctor. We walked in, saw
Yeah.
the doctor immediately, $4 for the consult. And then he ended up getting some antibiotics, and that was more expensive, but it still was like $75 for
It's
over
unbelievable.
Hmm. Hmm.
and we were like, okay. And we had already been thinking about how could we spend more time there because we
Right?
love it. We love it.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Mm.
So we're
Josh and I have a Mexico plan too.
okay. Well,
Oh, yeah.
let's go.
Let's all go there.
Mhm.
I like Mexico. We can all go there. I mean, I have three like chipped teeth that I need to get fixed, and I got a quote of $429, and I have dental insurance, mind you. I'm going to be in Cambodia in July, and it's under $100. It's like $20 a tooth, and I'm like, I'll just do it in Cambodia. It's insane. I mean, I've had mammograms and PAPs for a decade outside the US, and I never spend more than 150 US dollars because the insurance we have when we're outside the US is a $5,000 deductible. But I'm okay with that because if we just need to go to the doctor for something, it's $30.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, our son had his wisdom teeth out and it was $400. It's like thousands in the US.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like and mind you, the medical care is not, it's not like it's less care. I mean,
No.
we've been sick all over the world. We got sick in Peru, and the doctor came to our hostel on Christmas Eve and brought a prescription with him, and it was $25.
Yeah.
Came to I mean, we're so messed up in the US. Like it's
Yes.
so,
Have you
I mean,
written a
it's
lot
just,
about this? About all of the different places you've gotten medical care? Because I want to
I
read
have
that.
I have not actually. I don't think I
Here,
have.
put
I
it on
might
your
have when I had the
list.
blog. I'll put
That's
it
a
on my list.
Substack post.
Yeah,
Right,
that's a good
right.
Substack post.
But I just lose because we coach people. One of our facets of our business is coaching people on the logistics of full-time travel, and that's the number one fear, mind
Hmm.
you. Medical care. People leaving the
Yep.
U.S. are so crazy about medical care, and I just say, you know what? Let's back burner that and get back to me in a year after you've been traveling because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be something I don't even think about it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even think about it because it's
Mm-hmm.
so inexpensive. It's like, an inexpensive gas bill from 20 years ago. It's like something you don't think
Hmm.
about. You're like, oh,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. And people are so worried about it. And we've had some of the nicest hospitals. We've had colonoscopies outside the US. I mean, we've had it all done, like all done. And my experience of having a colonoscopy in Maine, last month was not as good as having it in other countries. I've had one in
Of
Ecuador. I've
course
had one
not.
in France. It was like I was in and out. There was no care. The questions weren't answered. I barely talked to the doctor. It's like it's crazy. Like, I mean, we
Yeah.
have it. We have clients who have like chronic conditions where it's like escalated to a level that it's like out of pocket was like 10,000 a month. They had the
Mm-hmm.
money for it, but
Yeah.
but they were like, you know what they said? They were like, fuck this, and they moved to the south of France. Like
Mm-hmm.
now we're traveling with that 10,000. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's crazy. It really is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And the dental care is insane. It's
Uh,
insane
okay.
how much they stick it to us, the dental care. So Mexico, we'll all move there next year.
Yep.
Let's do
I'm
it.
actually I'm actually going back to Mexico in June. So our boat's there. We're gonna go back and live on that.
Where
So
in Mexico?
so right now it's in a very uninteresting place. It's in Puerto Penasco. So it's where Baja and the mainland meet. So
Okay.
it's
Oh.
Mexico. It's Mexico, but it's
Uh-huh.
just below. It's like 2 hours and we're in Arizona.
Yeah.
Is it
And
like by
it's
Rocky Point? Do you know Rocky
I don't
Point?
I don't know where Rocky Point is,
It's
but
right there. Our friends that live in Phoenix drive down there all the time, and it sounds so awesome.
Mhm.
yeah, no, we're not going to stay in that spot because it's just like a really rundown port town where
Mhm.
people put their boats because it's really inexpensive to put your boat there.
Mhm.
So they put them there and leave them if they need to go away or do work on it. So we're going to go down the Sea of Cortez, but we're going to probably spend a couple of years there and we'll eventually go across to French Polynesia, but we're not doing that now because it's just not in the cards financially. So we have
Yeah.
one in college and another one going. So we're like, we'll just hang out in the Sea of Cortez. I mean, Mexico is so inexpensive. I love it.
So inexpensive. Oh my
I can
gosh.
kind of speak the Spanglish.
Mhm.
Like it's just it's awesome. It's great weather.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
crazy.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, don't go to Mexico. It's going to be so dangerous now." I'm like, "Are you kidding? We're in the U.S.
No.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can't think of a more dangerous place than the U.S. right now." So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yep, all for medical care outside the U.S. for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
Well, I'm
So,
going back to Baja at the end of this month. There's a conference in LA. My Jeremy and I are driving, but we're going to drive and do like 3 days in Baja and then go from Baja back to LA for the conference.
oh, that's
Mhm.
awesome.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and
So he's cool. He's on board too. Then
100%. Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's the
Like,
like
Yes.
Jeremy's
that's
the
the best.
coolest. I love Jeremy.
Thank you.
No, but that's half the
Molly,
battle.
it totally is. Yeah, Molly and her husband have met my husband because they came to Napa a couple years ago when Jeremy and I were living there.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
um,
It's interesting because of, of the people that we coach, it's usually the man. No, it's not usually. Is if one is resistant in the relationship, it's of going, it's always the man.
really
Always, always. And
interesting.
if
That
we've
makes sense to
had
me.
yes, it is never ever the woman. But usually when they've gotten to the point that they're coming to us, it's a man who's nervous and questioning and scared about it, but willing to try it. We've
Mm-hmm.
only had a couple that have come where the man is just totally not wanting to go, and the partner is saying to me, "Can you convince him?" I'm like, "I'm not going to convince him. It's hard as
No.
fuck, So I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, yeah, you love, and like I can think of one guy in particular. He works from home. She's a stay at home, and he does the money, she does all the other stuff, right? And I said, you're going to have to help. You're going to go traveling. She's doing all this stuff already. At night, when you're done working, you're going to have to pick up some of the duties.
Yeah.
You can't keep the same pink and blue divide that you have now. She is going to be exhausted, and you're going to be all this. The grocery store is going to take 2 hours, 3 hours the first time you go. And he was just like, nope, not having any of that. He
Mm,
didn't say it, but I could tell it. And then
mm.
after she said, yeah, he thinks it's probably not the best idea right now. It's not the best for the kids. And I was like, fuck her. I was
Yeah.
so mad.
Oh,
I was
geez.
like, go without him, damn it. Because he just didn't want to
Yeah.
help. He didn't want his lifestyle compromised. But
Mhm.
it is the men are always more. I mean, I think it's conditioning, right? It's like they've had this kind of narrative thrown in their head that they have to be the breadwinner and all this stuff, whether they're the breadwinner or not. They have, it's like Will was nervous when we went too, because he had never not worked in his life. And we
Mm-hmm.
went with my income because I was already working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So we went with just one income, but the expenses, we lowered our expenses like 80%.
Yeah.
And then once he got in the groove, he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like it like
That's
this.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
Well,
I'm a
no,
bit advocate for
when
getting
I
out of the
was
States.
when I was in Baja earlier this year, immediately I was like, "Oh my gosh, how can I start hosting retreats here?" So
Yeah. Oh my
that
gosh.
is percolating, just planting that little seed for
I love
future.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. And
Yeah.
you can make them so that they're affordable for people and you still
Mm-hmm.
making a profit because you're going to make a
Mm-hmm.
profit as well because
Mm-hmm.
Mexico's inexpensive
Mm-hmm.
and you get a lot of bang for your buck.
Yep.
And it's easy to get to from the
Yep.
US too.
Yep. Yep.
There's
Yep.
all the goods.
Yep.
Molly, where do you live?
Minneapolis. So
Okay.
basically Canada.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Um,
All right. Well, that is all very exciting stuff. So, what's up with book stuff for you two ladies today?
Oh my
Hmm.
God, go Molly. I don't have anything.
I know. I don't really have anything either. I feel like I'm just still sort of waiting. So like what I've been working on is, well, actually, what I've been working on is a couple of things. One is clearing off a couple. I feel like I've been helping a few, friends with businesses with some of their marketing and writing stuff, um, which they're paying me for, but it's just sort of like nothing I'm excited about. It's like I did it as a favor sort of at the beginning, and then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So, I read that book. Hold on. Essentialism. Have you read
Hmm.
it?
No.
Oh,
Is it
Essentialism.
good?
Oh, it was good. It was good.
Oh, I'm
It's
putting
like
it on my list.
it's maybe 10 years old. I listened to it, I was doing other stuff, but the whole thing is like if something isn't a hell yes for you, it's a
mm,
no.
hmm,
And if you
Yeah.
keep saying
Love
yes
it.
to things that, because of social pressure or because it's awkward or because you want to help someone even though there's like not much in it for you. It's just about being really, really mindful about what you say yes to because everything you say yes to is a that might be in a direction that's not serving your goals.
Hmm.
my doorbell just rang. I'll be right
Oh,
back.
so, okay. Get that package.
Right.
I don't know. That's what I hope it is for her. Um,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So
I
anyway,
love that. So
hmm
you feel like you said yes to this when you should, these things when you shouldn't have? Like,
yeah. And part of it is that I was sort of I my last like real 9 to 5 job. Well, I quit my 9 to 5 job in 2015 and then was doing freelance and stuff for a while. And then I went back to work for the same company a couple of years ago. Sort of like I just wanted to I how like freelance is great and I really like aspects of it, but I was like maybe I just want a little more structure for a bit.
yeah.
So I went back to this other job and I only lasted there for like 10 months. I was like, "Oh, I remember why I quit. Now this place sucks." Well, actually, everything about the job was great except for my boss.
So true.
So anyway, I was kind of like looking to get out of that and then so I had these two friends who were like, "Oh, they both have like health, but one runs a gym and one whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I was like, okay, if I quit this job, then I'll have like this little something over here to sort of like make it feel like I'm contributing to our life, in a financial way, because I contribute a lot in other ways. But yeah, now and then I was like, this all of a sudden I'm realizing I don't have any creative energy left for like what I want to work on.
Mm.
It's just, I feel like it's just you only have so much. And I'm sure you guys know this personally because,
Yep.
you know, even if it's just editing somebody else's stupid little newsletter, like that takes time and energy. And
Hmm.
I don't have an infinite amount of that kind of energy. I only have a
Yeah.
little or enough that for myself, I just don't want to be giving it out. So my thing I'm proud of is that I quit those two things and now I'm just working on, yes, on
Awesome.
my writing. And then the other thing is I have to help my dad. My dad wants to retire and I'm like helping him transition out of his like job and keeping an eye on his current business, but it's pretty hands off. It's not like a ton of work, but it's still something I have to do. And then my like Namakin business that I started with my friend Maggie. But I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really like three things. And one of them is very seasonal. I have an outdoor winter accessories company with a friend, so like we're kind of coming to the end of that like going hard season. So now I feel like a lot more time to
Do you have kids too?
write. Yeah, I do. I have a 6 and an 8-year-old.
Oh, so you take a lot of time too.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm
Yeah.
sick today, the whole thing. They had a snow day yesterday. It's yeah, but
But
I'm like really feeling invigorated to clear things off my plate
Mhm.
I
and
love that feeling.
that's been good.
Yeah, same. I love
Yeah.
that
I
for
mean,
you.
just saying no to those two, that's
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah.
Like, that's really huge. I love saying no now. And I was always a yes person. And I started practicing that a couple years ago, and I feel so good. Like I don't even make apologies for it. I'm just like, I just can't,
Yeah.
this is the time I have and I don't have any left. I just tell the truth. Like, and
Mhm.
these are my priorities. So that's good. That's a great
Mhm.
step.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That feels good. And so I don't know. It's like I just don't really know what to do with the book stuff right now. Like I feel like I don't really have a whole lot of control over like what is.
Where are things with your agent?
Well, the last we talked, she was sending my book proposal to a couple of publishers.
Mhm.
I don't know. I haven't
And
heard
that
back
and
from
that was
them.
when.
A couple weeks ago. So
Okay.
I should just check in with her, really, is what I should do,
Yeah.
and see what else I can be.
Yeah.
Add it to my list. Of course, like a little part of me always is like afraid to email her because I'm always like, is this the time she's gonna dump me? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I just, it's sort of like I want to be appropriate. I'm not being squeaky enough. Like Jana for sure. I know if I went through and said all the things I was doing, you'd be like, you are not doing enough to be a squeaky wheel.
You're
But
not.
also,
You
but
don't even have to
also,
tell me. You don't even have to tell me, and I can tell you you're not.
I know. But then at the same time, I'm like, every touch point I have with her is another chance for her to break up with me.
No.
I know, but that's how it feels.
Why? Why does it feel that way?
I don't know, because I'm just sort of like, part of me is like, if she were really excited about this, wouldn't we be making more progress?
No, I don't think her excitement has anything to do with the results that you can expect.
Okay.
She must have a lot of mollies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have a
Yeah.
lot of people on their plate,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she only works with nonfiction writers
Mhm.
too, and she seems to be getting a ton of book deals. So that's all good. It's just like,
Mhm.
where's mine?
Mhm. This is this
Where's
is gonna
where's my piece?
this is gonna come out in a couple weeks because I'm really ahead on my content. I'm so proud of myself. So I'm gonna tell you now.
Good
You're
job.
getting a little sneak peek of it. So
Ooh.
it's gonna be the topic of a podcast and an email in like 2 weeks, I think. Your book project is right on schedule.
I I
Mm.
feel it. I
It's
feel it, but
right
then
on schedule.
yeah.
Like I for the longest time, and the little personal example that
Excuse
goes
me.
with this is um for at least a year, maybe more, I've been like, I want to spend time outside first thing in the day. And it would be so easy if I would just like take my cup of coffee and go sit outside. How easy is that? Just do that. And it only has
Hmm.
to be like 10 minutes. But I it was trying to start it in the wintertime and it's too cold. And ever
Mhm.
since my relapse, I'm sleeping so much. I'm sleeping like for up until maybe like 6 months ago, I was sleeping like 12 hours a day. Now
Oh
it's
God.
I
now
love
it's
it.
yes, but now it's like 10 hours a day, but I'm still getting up at sometimes at like 9 or 9:30. And what I'm telling myself is that I'm waking up and I'm behind. I'm
Right.
Oh
starting my,
yeah.
I'm starting
Yeah.
my day and I'm behind.
Mhm.
And so this little takeaways was actually from a group coaching program that I was in, where I was explaining this to the group, and the coach said, "Well, what if you're on time?
Hmm.
What if the time that you wake up is exactly the time you're supposed to wake up, and you're on
Mm,
time?" So
I
because
love it.
this like being behind was the thing keeping me from having my coffee outside in the morning because I'm
Yeah.
behind, so I need to go like directly to my computer and start working.
Oh yeah.
But
Hmm.
so it's this concept is like applicable to so many things. Like your writing schedule is right on time. Your book project is right on schedule. Like everything is on time. You're gonna get
I'm
a
the
book deal,
same
Molly.
way. I'm the same way, Janet. And you know what I
Yeah.
do? I'm like, it's like getting up. I'm not a gym person, but since I've been in the US, I haven't been able to hike. So, and it's winter and so I've
Yeah.
been going to the gym and I get up and I go to the gym and it doesn't matter if I'm done with the gym by 7 or 9, I'm mentally always behind. And I was like, I had to stop that. I'm like,
Mhm.
how can I possibly be behind if I'm home from the gym and starting my day at 7, but I'm home for the gym and starting at 9? Then at 7, I'm not behind. If I'm starting
That's
at
right.
9,
Hmm.
right? So
But
I'm, and but it doesn't matter.
you're not behind if you're home at 7, you're not behind if you're home at 9.
Right,
Well, I have a
right.
question. Who are we behind? Like, who's ahead? Like,
You
who's
know,
waiting? Who's
them,
waiting for us?
them.
You know,
And also who says we're behind?
right,
Right.
The only
right.
person saying that I'm behind is me.
See, I think I have a slightly different problem where sometimes I think I'm too patient.
Maybe, like, as far as how frequently you pester or don't pester your
Mm-hmm.
agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm too patient.
I could use some of that.
Mm-hmm. Do you
I'm the other extreme.
do you keep track of how often you hear from her or reach out to her, or do you just like search your email and be like, oh, okay, the last time messaged her and heard from her was 2 months ago?
Yeah, it's more like what I'll do is I'll add it to my list here, my to-do list for the week,
Uh-huh.
and I'll be like, check in with Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll be on there for like a week or two, and then finally I'll be like, send her something. Send her something. Yeah.
What about doing this instead? Um, do you know right off how long it's been since you were in touch with her last?
It was probably it was after the inauguration because
Okay.
that's when we talked and she was like, I feel like this is like a good time to be sending out this book proposal.
Okay.
So
Okay.
probably like 4 to 6 weeks ago.
Okay. So I think it's fine to check in now. Like, it's been plenty of time.
Yeah.
So if
Maybe,
you
yeah.
let's just say you do it today. In fact,
Hmm.
I want you, if you do,
I'll do
I
it.
want you to do it today, and then I want you to post in the community to tell us that you did it.
Go do it right now, Jan, and I will wait.
Yeah.
No.
And
No,
then
'cause- yeah, but yes, but no, but
and
yes.
then and then what I and then today's March 6th. So you're going to look at your calendar and you're going to count 4 weeks or 6 weeks, however long you want, and you're going to put a reminder on your calendar in 6 weeks to check in with her again, and you don't have to think about it at all until you see the reminder on your calendar in 6 weeks.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe I can just be like, hey, checking in on that. By the way, here are some other things I've been working on. You know what I mean? Just to be like,
I don't think you even
I'm
need to do
doing this and
that.
that. Really?
Jana, what is a
No.
normal schedule of when to check in? Like, I'm not even at that point, but like, should Molly be checking in every 4 weeks or every 6 weeks or when she feels like what is like a normal amount that so we're not bugging someone?
I think 4 to 6 weeks
Okay.
is appropriate. Especially when, well, so here's the thing. Agents will, unless you've signed with an agent and when they've requested your material, they'll usually tell you, I will get back to you and let you know in X amount of time. The last time I had an agent request my material, her time frame was, it was long, and I was surprised. It was close to 6 months.
Mm.
And she told me that when she requested my materials and said that if I didn't hear from her by X date to follow up with her. And I literally heard from her like the day before that deadline that she gave me.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones who are really good at their job are going to tell you and stick to it. And then if you're signed with someone, that's when things change a little bit in my mind because you're officially on their roster. You have priority. They're going to pay more attention to their clients than their queries. And it also changes a little bit depending on where you are in the process with them. So like Molly's moved from revising the manuscript where maybe the communication time frame is a little bit longer because she's implementing feedback and doing revisions on her manuscript. That's going to take a little bit longer. she's going to send that to her agent. It's going to take her agent a little bit longer to review and get back to her. So the response time is probably a little bit longer. But now she's beyond that stage, and she's okay. Sorry, Jeremy's telling me that he's leaving. Do you want to close that door?
Bye, Jeremy.
Yes, bye, Jeremy.
They say bye.
Hello.
You can't come over here and give me a kiss.
Oh, yeah, give us a kiss. Give us a kiss.
Where do you want it?
That's Molly. Molly's here, and Jess is new.
Hey, Molly.
Hey.
Okay, so the response time is going to be a little bit longer at that stage. But now, Molly, you're beyond that stage. You're on submission.
Yeah, like
That-
allegedly.
which means all the work that you've done is like you're done with your work. Now it's time for her to do her work.
Mhm.
Right? So the balance of who's waiting on who for work has shifted. It's not the agent waiting on you, the author, for the work. You're the author now waiting on the agent for the work. So yeah, I think you can be a little bit more pesty. Like, you've done everything she's asked you to do. You've delivered all your goods. Now it's time for her to deliver her goods.
Right. Here we are.
And she's only ever going to get paid if she gets you a deal.
That's right.
So win-win.
All right. I'll email her today, I promise.
Yeah. And like, I don't know what she told you in her last email that's when she was getting ready to submit.
Let's
So
find
like,
out.
it's been, if it's been to close to 6 weeks, I think it's fair to check in and ask for an update. I would fully expect her to come back to you and say, I've sent it out. If she doesn't name places specifically,
Yeah.
I would expect her to say at least a number. Like, I've sent it out to X number of places,
All right.
and am expecting to hear back by a certain time. That, I think that's completely reasonable at this stage.
Okay. Here's what our last thing was. So
Okay.
it was January 22nd. And let's see. So she said, wanted to let you know that I'm going to push the proposal out wider next week. That was a while ago. Now that we've settled into the expected level of anxiety for the next 4 years. Well, I don't know if that's, I think it's only gotten worse, but okay. And then she did send me the PDF of what she's sending people.
Okay.
And that she said, we haven't gotten any feedback from editors due to the world ending. But if there's something I didn't catch before sending out, I asked if I could see what she was sending, and she said if there's something I didn't catch before sending out the first small round, I can follow up, or just make the updates or whatever. Okay, so that was January 20th.
I just counted the calendar. It's been exactly 6 weeks since then.
Perfect. That makes me feel like less of a.
Mhm.
You're right on schedule.
I'm telling you, we're all right on
We're
schedule.
right on time. All right. That's good. Oh.
Molly, you're gonna get a book deal.
I know, it's just I mean, and the thing is, like, I feel like settled into like just accepting that this is not a fast process,
Mhm.
It just isn't. I mean, it is for some people, but for most people it isn't. And so I really am not like comparing myself to other people very often. I'm just sort of like taking it as it comes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're doing great.
I know. It's been a real roller coaster.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Also, Jessica, this is my second agent. So
Now you're scaring me. Sitting here thinking, this is so far in the future. Like, I feel like I'm watching the future here. Like, I can't even fathom this part. So, did your first agent break up with you? Is that why you have breakup trauma?
Oh, Molly, did we
Oh, she
lose you?
froze.
You're frozen.
Mm.
Her first agent ghosted her, and Molly
Okay.
had to break up. Molly broke up with her.
Okay. Okay. So she has trauma from that. She
Yeah.
has book agent trauma.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But if she
That's-
comes back,
that's
she can
stressful.
tell you. She can tell you more of the details. Yeah, and there were some things that came out or that she discovered about that particular agent after they broke up, where like other people had bad experiences with her, and apparently she was just kind of doing all kinds of shady stuff in the business. So it worked out. It was for the better.
Right.
But
Oh, that's horrible.
She did work on revisions with that agent and spent probably a year working with that agent. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is her, I can't remember from what everyone said the last time we got together, but is her book complete?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that's a hard, like a stressful part. Like you've done it and now you're just in the waiting period of like, how
Yeah.
long is this going to take, you know?
Yeah.
At least because I guess it must feel a little bit like you've been moving, writing, editing, all this stuff, and now you're at like this holding period,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Well, while she's not here, I do have something to share. So
Yeah.
I signed up to take it's a 4-week class. Have you read the book Brutalities?
No.
No. Molly, have you
Mm-mm.
read the book about Brutalities?
No, I don't know what's going on with my internet, but I have not. What is it?
So I actually listened to it when I was hiking. I don't know how it came across my trail, but a woman who was from a not well-known, a prominent, wealthy enough New York City family, educated, all the things, became a dominatrix in high school with drug addiction, then ended up in a relationship with a guy who she liked pain through sex. He was a lot older. They had all this stuff going on. Then she became a welder in New York City in a very male dominated field.
Wait, is this
And
Flashdance?
no, no,
Just
no.
kidding.
No.
Isn't that like kind of the
Sounds
plot
like
line? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and it's just, I mean, there's more to the book than that, but that isn't even really the whole premise. But she basically documents it through being pregnant through COVID and certain weeks of pregnancy and flashes back to her other life. What I liked about the book is how she wrote about parenthood, even though she wasn't officially a parent yet. And I get her newsletter, and she came across my feed and was doing just a 4-week, 2 hours a week, kind of high level on writing parenthood. So I'm taking the class.
Nice.
And I really like it because I'd never taken a class like that before. And, that's an area that although I did blogs for forever, it's very different and something that's really important to the book because I went because of my son and it
Yeah.
was a parenting move. And so I'm getting a lot of the class. I'm just was sharing that I've gotten a lot out of the class. It's very interesting because all of the people in the class are parents of kids 10 and under. And I'm on the other end. And then there's one older guy, older than me, who's like 65, who's writing about parenting. But it's very interesting to hear their kind of perspectives on things and just and different things because I'm at the latter end of all that parenting stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I was just sharing with Jana that I'm taking this class and we're 2 weeks in and it's been very, very helpful in just different areas that I was struggling with. Like some parts of the book are really easy to write and super clear for me. When I say easy to write, like they're not necessarily emotionally easy, but the words are very free flowing and I have a clear vision and I have a clear recollection of what happened and how I felt and what was going on. And then there's other parts that are just they don't have a space and time. It was like it could have been happening anywhere in my head on the trail and it's related to parenting and I'm just struggling of how to integrate that into the book. And so she's given some tools that I thought were really interesting. And I hadn't planned on I wasn't looking to take a class per se. But I was kind of skeptical, like, should I take this? Shouldn't I? And it's been really helpful. So, and she's very lovely. I mean, I think anyone that I've really worked with, on the book has been amazing. Like Jana's awesome. Like there's just I find the community so wonderful and welcoming. And I've been in a lot of different communities over the last 10 years. The hiking community is amazing. The sailing community is not. It's very, very, very white, privileged, and chauvinistic. And I've never gotten so many negative comments on our social media as I have from white men when we were immersed in the sailing community. So not every community is amazing, but I've been so happy, of like the resources that are out there and things people share and things that I pay people for. And taking the class has been really, really great for me. Like it's just helping, and
Awesome.
it's also helping with things that I hadn't thought about, and like just even listening to Molly, even though this is so far down the line for me, listening, going, okay, this is what it could be like, and this is the space I'm going to be in, because like you're writing, 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 and now you're waiting, and I'm not a patient person, so I now you're like making me, like, you're normalizing it, like, okay, this is part of the process. You're just going to be in a waiting zone, and what? So anyway, so that's kind of where I am. I'm writing. I'm not having any issues with finding time to write, because I'm in a situation where I've made the time after all these years, like I said last month. Um, and yeah, I'm just writing, and sometimes it feels like throw up all over the page, and other times it feels like it's coming together. But I'm like, this is going to be rewritten 100 times, so I just got to come to
Yeah,
terms with that.
that's totally
So yeah.
normal.
I feel like I feel like everyone's overused word alert journey is different when it comes to
Mhm.
publishing. But I do think that
100%.
if you go the more traditional route, like the thing that sort of tempered my like anxious energy toward like moving things forward, because I mean, it's not like I don't like moving things forward or am anxious about stuff, but once you start querying agents and they're like, if you don't hear back in 3 months or 6 months, consider it a no. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what the hell? Like, how are you
Mhm.
guys even functioning in the world as
Mhm.
like who gets to say, but
Right.
they don't feel behind. I will say they don't ever seem to be feeling behind when they're not
No,
responding to your email for
they
3
do not.
months. And then it's weird too that some people will say like, oh yeah, it'll if you don't hear back from in like 6 to 8 weeks, um, just send a follow-up. And I heard back from some people in 24 hours. So it's
Yeah.
just like
Mm.
you just never know. And also for me personally, I felt like, writing my manuscript was hard, was challenging, but it was fun and I was in control of it. And then
Mm.
once that's done, that's when it's like all of a sudden not just your project really anymore. And that has been I thought writing the book would be the hard part, and it just hasn't been the hard part. Like
Mhm.
the hard part has been all the stuff that comes after. And I actually had an exchange with Katie Standuffer on Instagram because I said I felt like writing the book was the hard part, and she was like, total opposite for me. So she's a writer that we had like do a kind of like a class, I don't know, a couple of years ago. Um,
Her course
and
is in the course library, Jess. I think you actually watched it. It's the Following the River one.
Which, oh, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yes. That's the one I sent you a message about. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
terrible with names. So I was like, who is this? But
Mm-hmm.
now that you
yes,
say, I
Light and
loved that
Flowers is
one.
her book. And she was like, and now after having like kind of like met her there and then followed her on social media, like kind of get it more. But she's like, basically like I got a book deal and an agent pretty easily, but it took
Mm-hmm.
me forever and ever and ever to write the
Mm-hmm.
book.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone's different.
Yeah, I think she said
Everyone
that
is
in one of the
different.
videos. Did it take her 10 years or something? It was a long time.
Well, she had
It
been
was,
she had
right?
started, she had the book started, and then she had this massive uh health condition.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And the book that published first is not the book she expected to publish first.
Right.
Um, but yeah, and of all the types of publishing journeys out there, hers, I think, is the least common. And she actually has responded to some of the stuff that I've shared about what I'm doing in a way that I took offense to, because she doesn't know what it's like to query agents.
Totally.
Right.
I
Right.
know. I was like,
She
I feel you on that.
she
Mhm.
She's a unicorn.
she's a unicorn, 100%.
Yeah.
And her writing is lovely. And she's in the literary space. Like, her writing is very literary, which
Yeah.
means it's like very lyric, and like it takes her a long time. She's very precious about her writing process. Like, okay, great. That's great for you. Like, you do
Mhm.
you. She had a piece published in a literary magazine, like a very prestigious literary magazine, and her agent reached out to her and asked if she had a book project, and she did, and she signed with an agent. So like, she had an agent solicit her. Like that never
Right.
happens.
Right.
I mean, it happens sometimes, but like hardly ever.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, because I went through my whole process not last year, but the year before, I think, where my goal was to send 100 queries, which I did. And she frequently had stuff to say about that. And I'm just like, okay, like you've never done this.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we're friends and stuff, but like I just was like, why are you coming into my DMs to tell me how to do something you've never done?
Right.
So anyway.
It is. I mean, it really is like a numbers game. And I
Yeah.
do think that like once you get to the point, Jessica, if you plan on querying agents
I
and all
do. At this point, I do. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, I feel like you just kind of you have to go into it with sort of like whatever, it's just a first date kind of thing or like online dating. Not that I'm like online dating, but just not being so precious about every little thing because it's kind
Yeah.
of a numbers.
It's totally a
Yeah.
numbers game.
And you never,
It's totally a timing thing too,
yeah,
which you have no concept of what the timing is for the person on the other end. Like you only are aware of your own timing.
mhm.
But yeah, I'm glad you said that, Molly, because Jess, I was going to ask you if you thought about how you want to pursue publishing. And it sounds like you want to go after an agent.
I do.
Okay.
And I want to go the more traditional route, but
Mhm.
I'm not, I would say, opposed to self-publishing, but I want to go the traditional route first and at least give it a go.
Yeah.
And I have several friends who felt the same way. And then when they got to the point where the book was written and they were just like, I'm done. I'm ready to publish. I don't want to
Yeah.
wait around.
Yeah.
And I'm not a patient person, but I feel like if I put that much time in, I'm going for what I was going for originally. And it's not that I think one is better or worse than the other. And I know there's a huge percentage that's taken by the publisher and all that. And I know there's all these different angles, but at this point, that's what I want. Now that could change. In
Mhm.
6 months, I could be like, you know what? I don't think I want that anymore.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I love, by the way, your podcast and about the 100,000 followers. So I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah,
Yeah. Thank
I'm the
you.
one. I'm the one who asked her that question.
Yeah.
So
That
I
question
don't know.
came from
Did I
Jess.
say? Did I say it in the group last month, or did I send it to you privately? I don't remember.
The question,
Yeah,
it was in the DMs.
was it in the DMs? Okay.
Yeah.
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 So I was like, yeah, this is great. This is really great. So, I mean, yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm interested in going that route. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not fully educated in it. So maybe when I get more education, I might change my mind. But at this point, that's the route I want to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
you should. I mean, I personally still want to go that route too, even though I haven't had any success with it. I did my goal of 100 queries. I had somewhere between 5 and 7 request my materials. So like the process generally is you're going to send a query and every
Mhm.
agent has different requirements for what they want when you query them. Sometimes it's just the query, which is your letter pitch. And I don't know if this needs to be stated, but people get so like, oh my gosh, a query, a query, a query. Like it's just an inquiry. Like query
Yeah.
means you're inquiring.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is sending an email inquiring about whether they would like to consider you. Sometimes it's through a submission system because there are some agents who prefer there's a submission system called Query Tracker or Query Manager, I guess.
I know they all sound the same.
Well, it's like Query Manager to submit, but then you have your own login in Query Tracker, which is where you see all your submissions.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah,
That's cool though. But there's a place that houses all of this.
Yes.
Oh, and has like tons of really robust lists of
Yeah.
of agents, and you can like do fiction, nonfiction, people who specialize in memoir, people interested in
search.
travel. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
it's
cool.
totally cool. It's
Yeah.
it's actually like I found it to be very fun and interesting, for a while. But it is kind of like, you find yourself getting excited about certain people or being like, oh, this seems like someone
Yeah.
to work with, or I would never in a million years want to work with that person. I don't know.
Because I was just thinking of it like, oh, you have to Google and find all these, so it's all in one spot.
I mean,
That's great.
you need to do kind of both.
Yeah.
Right,
You'll find the
right.
person, like you'll find the person's name and website, and then you need to go to their website and look and read and decide
The
if
requirements, yeah.
they're and exactly, and decide if what they're looking for matches what you have, kind of thing. And there are people who don't use that, so there are other. In fact, Jess, are you going to Alt Summit?
I'm not. I just saw your message.
Oh,
But you know what?
dang.
I think it was on your newsletter or something. So I'm like, she's going.
Yeah.
But I'm not going. The reason I'm not going this year is so I went last year and I stayed with my friend, and just sad story, that friend got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and moved back
Mm,
to the East
Oh,
Coast. Yeah, and I have to be there in May because my son is going to prom and taking an exam. So I'm like, it's not financially in the. I'm sad to go there, and
yeah.
also it's not financially in the cards. But I'm
Yeah.
bummed. I saw you were going to be there, and I'm like, ah. And the
Yeah.
reason, so
what is
Jana,
it?
I also like said to them, I
Okay.
submitted to be a speaker again, but I said I'm not. I don't want to. I want to go more main stage than being a round table speaker. And I don't have. They have people who've like written and published books and like have all these following. I was just like, I want the main stage, damn it.
Yeah.
And I knew it was a long shot, but I was like, but I would like. I was like, okay, I'm gonna. If I get something a bigger platform than I had last time I was there, then I'll go. I'll find a way to make it happen
Hmm.
because I do have other friends there that I could stay with, and I loved it. So
Hmm.
it's a Molly. It's a conference for women entrepreneurs and influencers.
In
Would you say?
creatives, like they call
Yeah.
it, they basically call it like the creative industry, but there are a lot of designers, a lot of
Ooh.
online influencer types, and I honestly wasn't sure whether it was going to be my crowd. And part of it is, part of it isn't. But the reason I'm going back, so Jess, I did the same thing. I pitched again, didn't get accepted. And I told myself I was only going if I got accepted. Well, I didn't get
Yeah.
accepted, but they also do this thing called the gifting party, which is where people
I saw that. Yeah.
pick what they want for their
Yeah.
swag bags. So I did get accepted for the gifting party, so that's kind of why I decided, okay, I'll
And
go.
I can't believe you didn't get accepted. So I
I
went to listen. I
I
went to
can't
listen
tell
to
you
this
how
one.
angry I am
I
because
went to listen. It's like they have some bad speakers there. They
they
have
have
some
some
really
bad
good ones.
speakers.
But I went to listen to this one girl who wrote a book on a cooking book,
Hmm.
and she was fucking terrible.
Hmm.
She was
Hmm.
so bad. Now I know everyone's not a speaker and whatnot, but she was self-indulgent. Oh, and oh my God, she was talking about publishing. Okay.
She was
And
shit talking traditional publishing
Wait, I want to
because
know who
yes, did
I want
you
to know
go
who
to
it
that
was.
one?
yeah, that's
Did
where
you
we
go?
met. That's where we met because I took the picture of you and Sam.
Oh my God, that's right.
Wait,
Yes.
do you remember who this person was? I want to know.
I don't
Um,
remember her
I
name.
don't remember her name, but she's somebody who's
Um,
self-published, and it was like a self-published cookbook, and she's like sold 15,000 copies or something like that. And so her presentation was on self-publishing,
but
but
it was
yes,
terrible.
it was terrible, and she was shit talking traditional publishing, and I
And
was
there
so
was a woman in
annoyed.
the audience who called her out too.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
addressed it was like that's not accurate.
yeah,
Like she didn't seem to really know what she was
yeah.
her craft and
No,
what she was talking about.
I
Okay,
know.
that's right. Yeah, so I felt the
Mhm.
same way. I'm like, I don't know if these are my people, but I met Jana and then I met Sam,
Yep,
and Sam and I are still in contact and stuff.
yep,
And so I was like, I really actually really enjoyed it. But
yes.
I'm like, so I just thought of like when you said you weren't accepted, I'm like, how does she get accepted?
I
Like she
know.
was
Well, and so then I got to tell you this because I was like, okay, when the schedule came out, I was like, okay, let me see what they have for people who want to write a book. They
yeah,
have one ask the
I
expert
saw
on
that.
book proposals, and they have one roundtable on self-publishing. And
Yeah.
the thing that I pitched was a workshop on self-publishing versus traditional publishing. How do you decide? And I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't they put something like that on their schedule?
Right.
Jen, I don't understand it also because every single one of these people is either writing a book or wants to write a book. Because once you've
Oh
written a book,
no.
it denotes you. And I heard this quote last year there that if you want to be considered an expert in your field, you need to write a book. I
Write
went
a
to a
book.
seminar that someone said that.
Yep.
So I'm like, why are they not? And she's written 2 books,
Yeah.
3
And
books.
that's
So I'm like,
literally
why
the
are they
only
not?
That's literally the only reason I'm going back, because every single person I met organically, I introduced myself as a book coach, and the response 100% was, "Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to write a book."
Yeah.
What is this
When
thing
you
called? I have to
It's
look. Right.
called Alt Summit. In fact, the Alt is
So
short
ALT.
for altitude,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure the website is Altitude Summit.
Is it in
Like
LA?
you,
You said?
It's in Palm Springs.
Palm Springs.
Oh,
And Jana, when
I
we
need
met
to. I
you,
need to be living there.
like Sam had already written her book. I
Yep.
was considering writing a book.
Yep.
I don't remember what Hope said.
I
I
don't
don't remember,
remember
but
either.
like everyone I talked to. So actually when I looked at it, because I'm in book mode. That's my
Yep.
psycho hyper focus.
Yep.
So I looked at it and I saw that too. And I'm like, because I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll find a way to like financially afford it. Maybe I'll not do something else. And I was like, why do they not have, especially since she's written 3 books,
I
that's
know.
her focus. That's her focus now.
I
Like
know.
she's like, I'm like, why is she not promoting that more? Like,
I don't
why are there
know.
not more resources for that? I know I
I
felt the
don't know.
same way. I felt the same way. Yep.
Maybe
So
if I have a chance to speak to her directly, I can just ask her and talk to her about it.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the 2 sessions they have sort of related to books. Both of those people, like, you go to their website and they're like, as seen in all the big media,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, fuck, that's like not helpful. Honestly,
Well,
Oh,
it's
please. I have
a
that
lot
stuff
of
on
like,
my on all my things. I mean, I've been
no, but
featured going through this book,
I
not
just
for a
mean
long
for
time.
somebody. I just mean for somebody who doesn't know how to get their book done. They
yeah.
don't need to be learning and hearing from a best-selling author, because that's
Yeah.
probably not going to be their
Yeah.
experience. Like, the best-selling big media author is
Yeah.
not going to be able to speak
And,
to the experience that, like, you guys are going to have.
Mhm.
and mind you, that they don't seem to allow people on a bigger stage than like the round tables unless they've written a book.
That's right.
Like I went through and looked and I was like, some of the websites and stuff I went to, I'm like, this person hasn't really done much in their field except write a book. And
Yeah.
that's it. Like they don't really have experience in their field. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like it.
Yeah.
Whatever their field is that they're talking about, floral design. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, they've been a floral designer for 2 years and they wrote a book about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
but then they get to go on the stage because they wrote
Yeah.
a book. So if
Yeah.
that's kind of their MO, you would think they'd be pushing that angle a little bit more,
I know. I know.
Yeah, I know. I
Mhm.
feel the same way. So, but we did
So
have a good experience, Molly. We're like shitting it.
we
We're
did.
like,
No,
because
it's good.
that one girl was the worst speaker I went to, and
She was the worst.
I was
Isn't that
so
invigorating though?
annoyed. Like I wasted my time. I could have went to
Hmm.
someone else. Like she was
Hmm.
terrible.
It's invigorating to see what mediocrity, like, like, you're like, I could do that. I could do that 10 times better.
Right.
And then that's
Mhm.
kind of like fueling your fire. At least it is for me.
Hmm.
So,
Definitely.
I
So
want to
Well,
know all
I
of
did
these
also think if she
events.
can write a
I
book,
never,
even though I'm not writing a cookbook. I'm like, I can write a book. She can write. Well, I think
yes.
it's true. You get more confident. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Well,
Oh.
so what I'm doing this year, Jess, is I posted in the Facebook group for the conference. I think I have maybe like 20 spots available where I'm doing free 15-minute
Oh, I
mini
saw you were doing.
consults.
Yeah.
smart.
I can't
So
even believe you didn't get a round table. There were
I
so
know.
many there were so many crappy round tables because
I
people came to my round table after they left round tables and they're like, "Oh, thank God." Like some of them were like so like it's and I don't understand because the room I was in, there were plenty of round tables. So fill those babies up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, fill them up. Bring like some like I mean, there's like so many. Like if I see another Substack roundtable, I'm like, okay, let's move past this. There's other
I
things in the world
know.
besides Substack. Like
I
Jesus, and I love my
know.
Substack, but it's like the same thing. So I don't know. It must be working for them or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so. You know what? If you decide to go back next year, let me know. I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to be like,
Okay.
you should have this girl, Jana. I don't even,
Please.
Oh,
I don't even
yeah.
have to say, I don't even have to say your name. I will just say, listen, you've written these books. I'm in the middle of writing a book. You require, basically, it's an unwritten rule. They require their speakers to have written a book. Can you add some more speakers in this area for those of
Hmm.
us who want to be at a greater stage?
Hmm.
You know, and to
Hmm.
be honest, I didn't love the keynote speaker that either.
Yeah, the
Um,
keynote, the closing keynote or
yeah,
the
closing,
opening keynote.
closing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because the closing keynote, she was like, "Okay, great. She published a book, but she's like a hairstylist." I'm like, why do I care about
Well,
what this hairstylist has
Well,
to
the
say
thing is,
about business?"
that's what her job
yeah.
is as a keynote speaker is to make whatever she has learned feel applicable to
Yep.
everybody.
Yep.
You know
Well,
what
I
I
also
mean?
read her book
Hmm.
and I've read other stuff she's written and she's I don't know. I really have a hard time when people are somewhat of a social media, she's pretty well known
Yes.
Yeah.
personality, and then they write a book about their kid being all fucked up and they're
Hmm.
they're writing about their kid.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I believe we should tell our stories, but I really think like sharing the deep, dark secrets of your child's addiction is really a lot because they're 16, 17, 18, and even if they agree to it, do they really want all that out there?
Right.
You
Mhm.
know? And I feel like I've seen two women do this now. One of
Yep.
them actually was another speaker at the conference, and I
Oh,
just thought it
really?
was, yeah, it was. She's really famous. It's that woman who does what's her I don't remember her name, but she wrote about, I think, about her kids. I didn't read the book, about her kids' addiction. And I just felt like write your own book. Leave,
Yeah.
you want to share your trauma and shit, leave your kid out of it, at
Yeah.
least till they're
I
not
feel like
they're not a
that's
minor anymore.
like a punching up versus punching down. You know, they talk about that in
Yeah.
comedy. And I feel like punching up to me in this sort of in memoir writing is like about like other like your parents. Like you can write
Yeah.
about your parents, but
And
writing about
yourself.
in yourself and
Yeah.
your marriage and your relationships, but when it comes to your kids, you got that's tricky.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
And I
tricky.
will say that my book, the reason we went on the AT was something my son was struggling with, but it wasn't something super big, and it's been approved by him, and it's not the focus of the book.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
when the whole, like, I just felt like, you know what, get people in here that have written books that are disclosing their whole inner stuff, not their kids,
Yeah.
right? Like, it just didn't.
Yeah.
And I just thought the end note speaker, she's the one, Molly, who developed that
Beauty
hair
bar.
beauty bar. Are you familiar with that? The
Dry
place,
bar.
dry bar, where you go
Mhm.
and have a
Mhm.
glass of wine, they blow dry your
And they
hair
just
all
Hair.
like
straight and
blow dry
pretty.
your hair.
Yeah. I just felt she had no depth. I felt
Yep.
she was just no depth. I didn't feel like she was
Ugh.
very intelligent in what
Yeah.
she was talking about.
Isn't
I just felt like this is a high school cheerleader here. Like I'm
yeah,
just
that's
Although
like
yeah.
they did just announce the closing keynote for this year, and of course I forget the
who
woman's
is
name.
it?
It's Katie. I forget her last name. It's the representative, the congressional representative
Oh,
who from Southern California with the whiteboards.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
so I'm
Wow.
excited about that one.
Do you know who the opening keynote is?
It's Lisa Congdon. Do you know who that is? She's an
No.
artist.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm. Which
So
and
yeah, so
I know of her and have known of her for years, so I'm sure she'll be good. She's like very well respected and like known and kind of
I
like
mean, bad news makes the news. So, Molly, I don't want to make it sound like it was a piece of shit. There were only a couple that weren't good, and
yeah.
No.
and to me, having certain people as keynotes, like at the closing keynote, they had her to bring in people.
Yeah. Well,
They
Yeah.
had and that is kind of the job of having
yeah.
the keynote and the
Yeah.
closing. But I actually got a lot out of it.
Hmm.
I got a lot out of it personally.
Was last year your first year going, Jess?
I went 10 years ago.
Oh.
Or maybe it was 12 years ago. I hadn't even left the US and I went to a day. Uh, no, I spent the night. So it was in New York City.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Oh.
and I didn't love it because I felt like it was like a bunch of Instagrammers seeing who can outdo each other with their outfits.
I
Yeah.
still do feel that way. Like there's
And
a lot
there
of
is,
chatter in the Facebook group about what are you wearing? Here are my outfits. And I'm like, I don't give a
yeah,
shit.
and there
Like
is
Bama
still,
Rush Week.
yeah, there it is there. No, there is still a lot of that, Molly, but the founder has evolved. So she started out as a mommy blogger
Hmm.
and a mommy blogger, but a lifestyle, right? So
Hmm.
covering all the things, the food, the clothing, all that stuff. And she has evolved and become more educated and more into global issues and politics and stuff. So I feel like the conference is changing a little bit. At the beginning, it
is.
was just a bunch of Mormon mommies seeing who could have the prettiest outfit,
Mhm.
basically.
It's
And
true.
I still did get a lot out of it, but I was like, this is too much money for me to, it's just not my people.
Yeah.
And then I was out of the US, never around. And then I said, I'm going to see if they'll have me as a speaker. And then when they had me as a speaker, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it a go again. I'm going to go back and see. And it's much more watered down with
Hmm.
the clothing thing, but it is still, people do get into the clothing.
Hmm.
Like they
Hmm.
do.
Well,
But you don't feel it if you don't, because then there'll be people there with like orange hair and Dark Martens on.
Hmm.
Like it's
Which
not
was
like,
you.
yeah, it was.
That was you.
I had Chuck Taylors on and pink
Yeah,
hair.
and your pink
Uh,
hair.
yeah, and then we had so much fun. We had like
We
fun, like
did.
we were talking at lunch, and you were oh my God, you guys, it was just really a great. I had a really great time.
Yeah.
So and
Well,
then
all that to say, Jess, I brought it up because most of the people who are booking these 15-minute one-on-one sessions with me for the
yeah,
conference have questions about agents. And so I'm going to put together a little info sheet, kind of like what we were just talking about, like this database where you can search the
yeah.
agents and other resources. So I will make sure that you get that too.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I
mhm.
love it. I love that you're like, they're not going to be the speaker, but I'm going to find another way. Like, I
Hmm.
love that. I mean, I'm
Thank
sure
Mhm.
that
you.
all your slots are going to fill up, right?
Well, they're
I mean,
not yet. I only have like 4 people booked, and I'm like, is it because I
When
shared
is
it too?
this?
It's
really?
next weekend, the 14th to the 17th, and I have slots on 2 days. So Saturday, Sunday. I think I need to bump it up again in the Facebook group.
I would say, can you reshare it or push it up or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably
Well,
just
and
need.
you should have like a QR code when you're like walking around. You can tell people, "Oh, I'm actually doing this thing. If you want to book a thing, here's a link to it."
Okay, good call. Good call. Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
Wait. When is the gifting party? I
well,
forget. Is it
that's
the
the
first
other thing.
night?
I was going to have people sign up in person at the gifting party. It's not the
Ooh.
first night, it's the second night. So if I wait to have people sign up at the gifting party, there's only one day to hold the
Right,
meetings.
because are you at the gifting party where you give it to them, or is it on a table?
Yes.
Because I didn't go to it because the line was too long. Um,
So the gifting party is where all the vendors, is basically like vendors, but you get free stuff from the vendors. So I have a
right.
table.
Oh, you have a table.
I have a table.
Okay. So you can actually talk to people and say, hey,
Yes. Yeah. So
um,
I'm giving away back issues of my magazine, and the other thing I'm going to do is have like a little thing for people to drop their business cards, so they can drop their business card, and I'll do a giveaway of like maybe like 3 30-minute one-on-ones or something like
oh,
that,
yeah.
so that I can collect everybody's email addresses.
I
Smart.
still can't believe that because people have so much curiosity about writing a book and they don't
I
write
know.
it or start because they're
I
scared. They don't know
know.
where to begin. And that was
I
me.
know.
It
I know.
feels like so huge,
Yeah.
just so huge. And like, where do
Yeah.
I begin this? And
Yeah.
so I'm shocked. Like,
I know.
well,
I
maybe
know.
next year.
We'll see. We'll see if I want to go next year.
Right? You might be annoyed at that point and be like, screw it. Oh, wait, I know we got to let you go, but I have one question. I saw that you're going to another conference. What
Hmm.
is that one you're going to?
That one is called AWP. It's the largest writing conference in the country. Happens every year in a different city. So
So I
this year,
went through like and saw there's a ton of different things going
yeah,
on. Like, do you find
yeah,
it's valuable?
I do. It's huge. It's
Where is
very
it?
overwhelming. It's the end of this month, the 26th through the 29th. It's in LA. Molly, you could still come if you
I
want
know
to.
I've got something I think that
Oh,
weekend.
dang it.
I know, but just
Um,
because I feel like I'm always hearing about everything late, and I like don't know why I am not somehow like dialed in more or to like how am I missing everything? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like who's
I
hearing
don't know. I don't
about
know, hun, because
Next year,
I,
it's on the East Coast because I was looking at it for
yes,
next year.
yeah.
it
I
Can't
mean,
changes.
remember where, but
They usually will do West Coast, East Coast, Center, and it kind of rotates like that. Because last year it was in Kansas City. Um, so I do like the dates should be announced for next year already, and I had announced it, and I try to let you guys know about that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, I'm being bad at
um,
following things.
um, what I will say about AWP is it's really good for learning about publishing, writing, publishing, and specifically like non-traditional
Okay.
opportunities. So you're not going to go and find an agent. You're not going to go and see the big publishers there. You're going to see small press publishers. You're going to see university presses. You're going to see independent presses and a lot of literary magazines and journals. But there will be panels on things like how to find an agent, writing a query letter, writing a book proposal. Like there will be panels on those topics. You just won't see the professionals from the more traditional, bigger publishing side of the industry. Okay. And then the reason, so I've been going almost every year for 10 plus years or more. And I go because I publish a magazine. So I go and I have a booth for the magazine. The magazine has been around now it's going on 14 years. It'll be 14 years in this fall. And
awesome.
We host a reading. So like authors that we've published come and read from their work. And so it's an opportunity for me to see and connect with people in person that I can't otherwise, because it's like the largest, I'll see between 30 and 50 people that I've published over the years because they all come to this conference. Barbara's coming this year, I think. A couple years ago, it was in Philadelphia, and there were like 5 more to the story clients there, and so we had a dinner one night. So like,
that's nice.
You know, I take advantage of these events to bring our community together too, if people are going to be there. So sometimes the event itself is like, it's really big, it's overwhelming. There's probably 800 vendors at the book fair. And people can feel really overwhelmed because it's just a lot. But then you kind of find your little community niche. And once you're connected and plugged in there, you can just kind of go and do what you want to do and partake in the big overwhelm as much as you want or not at all, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good talk, ladies.
I'm going to bed, ladies.
All right, go to bed.
I gotta go pick up Clark from school.
Well, I'm glad you made it late night, Jess, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.